Dunkleosteus. Dunkleosteus is an extinct genus of large armored, jawed fishes that existed during the Late Devonian period, about 358–382 million years ago. It consists of 10 species, some of which are among the largest placoderms to have ever lived. The largest and most well-known species is D. terrelli, which grew up to 8.79 in 28.8 ft long and 4 short tons in weight. Dunkleosteus could quickly open and close its jaw, like modern-day suction feeders, and had a bite force of 6,612 kgf, 1349 lbf at the tip, and 7,400 and 755 kgf, 1664 lbf at the blade edge. Numerous fossils of the various species have been found in North America, Poland, Belgium, and Morocco. The genus name combines David Dunkel's surname with the Greek word osteon bone, literally meaning Dunkel's bone. Taxonomy. Dunkleosteus was named in 1956 to honor David Dunkel, 1911–1982, former curator of vertebrate paleontology at the Cleveland Museum of Natural History. The type species D. terrelli was originally described in 1873 as a species of Denisoni, its specific epithet chosen in honor of J. Terrell, a fossil's discoverer. Dunkleosteus is an arthrodire originally placed in the family Denisonidae, which is composed mostly of large carnivorous fish like gorgonoses. Anderson 2009 suggests, because of its primitive jaw structure, Dunkleosteus should be placed outside the family Denisonidae, perhaps close to the base of the clade Pachysteomorpha. Carr and H. Lavin 2010 resurrect Dunkleosteus and place Dunkleosteus, Eastmanosteus, and a few other genera from Denisonidae within it. Denisonidae, in turn, is left a monospecific family. Species. At least 10 different species of Dunkleosteus have been described so far. The type species D. terrelli is the largest, best-known species of the genus, measuring 8.79 and 28.8 ft in length. It has a rounded snout. D. terrelli's fossil remains are found in Upper Frasnian to Upper Famian Late Devonian strata of the United States, Huron and Cleveland Shale of Ohio, the Canute of Pennsylvania, Chattanooga Shale of Tennessee, Lost Burrow Formation, California, and possibly Ibis-brexia of Texas and Europe. D. belgicus is known from fragments described from the Famian of Belgium. The median dorsal plate is characteristic of the genus, but a plate that was described as a suborbital is anterolateral. D. denisoni is known from a small median dorsal plate, typical in appearance for Dunkleosteus, but much smaller than normal. It is comparable in skull structure to D. marsaisi. D. marsaisi refers to the Dunkleosteus fossils from the Lower Famian Late Devonian strata of the Atlas Mountains in Morocco. It differs in size, the known skulls averaging a length of 35 cm, 1.15 ft, and in form to D. terrelli. In D. marsaisi, the snout is narrower, and a postpineal fenestra may be present. Many researchers and authorities consider it a synonym of D. terrelli. H. Schultze regards D. marsaisi as a member of Eastmanosteus. D. magnificus is a large placoderm from the Frasnian Rhinostreet Shale of New York. It was originally described as Denisoni magnificus by Hussakoff and Bryant in 1919. Dunkel and Lane moved it to Dunkleosteus in 1971. D. missouriensis is known from fragments from Frasnian Missouri. Dunkel and Lane regard them as being very similar to D. terrelli. D. newberryi is known primarily from a 28 cm 11 in long infranathal with a prominent anterior cusp, found in the Frasnian portion of the Genesee group of New York, and originally described as Denisoni newberryi. D. amblyodoratus is known from some fragmentary remains from Late Devonian strata of Kettle Point, Canada. The species name means blunt spear and refers to the way the nuptial and paranuptial plates in the back of the head form the shape of a blunted spearhead. Although it is known only from fragments, it is estimated to have been about 6 meters (19.7) ft long in life. D. raveri is a small species, possibly 1 meter long, known from an uncrushed skull roof found in a carbonate concretion from near the bottom of the Huron Shale of the Faymian Ohio shale strata. Besides its small size, it had comparatively large eyes. Because D. raveri was found in the strata directly below the strata where the remains of D. terrelli are found, D. raveri may have given rise to D. terrelli. The species name commemorates Clarence Raver of Wakeman, Ohio, who discovered the concretion where the holotype was found. Description: the largest species, D. terrelli, is estimated to have grown up to 8.79 and 28.8 ft in length and 44.4 short tons in weight, making it one of the largest placoderms to have existed. Like other placoderms, Dunkleosteus had a two-part bony, armored exterior, which may have made it a relatively slow but powerful swimmer. Instead of teeth, Dunkleosteus possessed two pairs of sharp bony plates which formed a beak-like structure. Dunkleosteus, together with most other placoderms, may have also been among the first vertebrates to internalize egg fertilization, as seen in some modern sharks. Some other placoderms have been found with evidence that they may have been viviparous, including what appears to have been an umbilical cord. Mainly the armored frontal sections of specimens have been fossilized, and consequently, the appearance of the other portions of the fish is mostly unknown. In fact, only about 5% of Dunkleosteus specimens have more than a quarter of their skeleton preserved. Because of this, many reconstructions of the hindquarters are often based on fossils of smaller arthrodires, such as Coccosteus, which have preserved hind sections. However, an exceptionally preserved specimen of D. terrelli preserves ceratotrichia in a pectoral fin, implying that the fin morphology of placoderms was much more variable than previously thought and was heavily influenced by locomotory requirements. This knowledge, coupled with the knowledge that fish morphology is more heavily influenced by feeding niche than phylogeny, allowed a 2017 study to infer the body shape of D. terrelli. This new reconstruction gives D. terrelli a much more shark-like profile, including a strong anterior lobe on its tail, in contrast to reconstructions based on other placoderms. The most famous specimens of Dunkleosteus are displayed at the Cleveland Museum of Natural History, and others are displayed at the American Museum of Natural History, National Museum of Natural History, State Museum of Pennsylvania, Harrisburg, and in the Queensland Museum in Brisbane, Queensland. Diet: Dunkleosteus terrelli possessed a four-bar linkage mechanism for jaw opening that incorporated connections between the skull, the thoracic shield, the lower jaw, and the jaw muscles joined together by movable joints. This mechanism allowed D. terrelli to both achieve a high speed of jaw opening their jaws in 20 milliseconds and completing the whole process in 50-60 milliseconds, comparable to modern fishes that use suction feeding to assist in prey capture, and producing high bite forces when closing the jaw, estimated at 6,612 kgf. The pressures generated in those regions were high enough to puncture or cut through cuticle or dermal armor, suggesting that D. terrelli. Fossils of Dunkleosteus are frequently found with boluses of fish bones, semi-digested, and partially eaten remains of other fish. As a result, the fossil record indicates it may have routinely regurgitated prey bones rather than digest them. Mature individuals probably inhabited deep-sea locations, like other placoderms, living in shallow waters during adolescence. Juveniles. Morphological studies on the lower jaws of juveniles of D. terrelli reveal they were proportionally as robust as those of adults, indicating they already could produce high bite forces and likely were able to shear into resistant prey tissue, similar to adults, albeit on a smaller scale. This pattern is in direct contrast to the condition common in tetrapods, in which the jaws of juveniles are more gracile than in adults. Media depictions. Dunkleosteus has occasionally been depicted in various media and games. These include the 2003 BBC TV series Walking with Dinosaurs, Sea Monsters, and the Animal Planet series River Monsters episode Prehistoric Terror, amongst other depictions. Dunkleosteus is one of the fossil types that can be found in the game Animal Crossing: New Horizons. Dunkleosteus is one of the playable sharks in the mobile video game Hungry Shark: Evolution.